When we're talking about programming, and especially C and C++, we have to talk about the kinds of information we can store, our data types. And we have characters. We can have strings, which are a group or an array of characters, integer values, and floating values for numbers. Whole numbers are integers. The size or maximum size may change depending on the OS. Positive and negative values like 100, negative 25. Floating point numbers, these are real numbers. They're a whole and a fractional part, 5.2. They're stored in a format that's defined by the IEEE, and they're either 32 or 64-bit values, and the number of significant digits that it stores is dependent on whether or not it's being stored as a 32 or 64-bit value. Characters are single units, A through Z's, hyphens, underlines, and there are other characters that are sort of graphical. There's the registered trademark character, copyright character, but it's a single unit. Words and phrases are made up of groups of characters. Rather than have to work with them as what are called arrays, there's a string library that allows us to group characters together, one or more. Examples, hello, goodbye, this is a string, would be these groups of characters. They're a derived data type, derived from the character data type, and there's a library that's part of C++ called the string library. We'll talk about libraries as we go that allow us to easily work with strings. We have to name data as we're working with it. And those names we call variable names or object names. And they've got some rules for them. They have to start with a letter or an underscore character. The rest of it can consist of letters, numbers, or underscores. They can't start with a number. It's case sensitive. So capital num and lowercase num are two totally different variable names. Should be descriptive of the type of data they store. The variable names are limited to 31 characters. Examples, total underscore sales, gross underscore profit, big value 1. Big space number is not allowed because of the space. 3me is not allowed because it starts with a number. You could name them single letters, all lowercase, all uppercase, lowercase with underscores, uppercase with underscores. Cap words or Pascal case, where if you got, say, total sales, you would capitalize the T in total and the S in sales. Camel case is similar, but you would lowercase the T in total, but uppercase the S in sales. And those are just some styles that we have for naming. Now, let's look at an example. And I've got a program here, and the program, I've got comments at the beginning, comments that I normally put in my programs, name, email, the name of the program file, when I created it, some descriptions. If this was a production program that was going to be used a lot, if we had any changes after it was originally created, I would have comments about those changes. Then we have some libraries. The IO or stream or input-output stream allows us to read and write to the screen. The string library is that library that lets us work with strings of data. We'll talk about what using namespace standard is later. Then our program always has a main function, and we'll talk about what the int part does later. And then I've defined an integer called integer. The int defines it. The double says this is a floating point number, a double precision or 64-bit floating point number called floating. A character, a string of text, hello from C++. Then I have used the cout, which sends things to the console, and output each of those so we can see what they look like. So I can run this. And here in the console at the bottom, I can see my output, 42 for the integer, 3.14 for the floating point number, A for the character, hello from C++ for the string. So that's an example of the different data types. Now, again, at the top, I've got these comments. I could also put comments in line, and for comments, we put them in there to help clarify the code. Single line comments start with a double slash. Inline as well, double slash, has to be after the code. We can have multi-line comments that start with a slash asterisk and end with an asterisk slash. So those are the styles of comments we can have. I find comments very important to make my code clear. If I write a program and then go back to it a year later, look at the code and want to know what some things are doing in it, those comments can help me understand parts that may be complex. So that's some of the things that we need to look at when we're doing programming.